You're listening to A Creative Excuse, presented by Echo a Mano. I'm Frank Rose.
And I'm Cara Duvall. This episode is with Kat Kinnick, whose exhibition is on view through June 2nd.
We have a couple upcoming events at Echo this month, including a poetry event featuring the Santa Fe Poet Laureate Tommy Archuleta, Natachi Mamade Gray, and other poets on Thursday, May 15th. And also Zara Marwan will be doing a book signing and reading from her newest book, Sakina and the Uninvited Guests, on Sunday, May 18th. These are happening the same weekend as the Santa Fe Literary Festival. You can find more information about these events at echoamano.org.
And now, on to the episode.
Cool. So we did this like 5 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you first started showing with us. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have this equipment either, right?
Didn't have this equipment. We didn't have this gallery.
I wasn't here.
Cara wasn't doing it. Yeah, a lot has changed. You've like evolved as an artist, and we've evolved as a gallery, and wow.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just dive right in.
Okay. I thought that might be the
that
case.
was good and sneaky.
Yeah.
You know,
You're looking very professional.
You
and
know
your
what?
new jacket.
I just got this new jacket. It's a blazer. I've been wanting to own a blazer for years now. And yesterday I got this. Yeah, I feel strong in it.
Yeah.
It's my power suit.
Yeah.
For this interview with you.
Yes. And your glasses are very sharp and really fun with the color on the top.
They get a lot of action.
Yeah.
A lot of people comment on the glasses.
Yeah.
Nice.
You don't have your blue ones though anymore.
I do have them. They're they're really tight on my head.
Oh.
So they end up hurting after like an hour. So it's too bad. I mean, that's just the frame style. It's just a tight one. So
Yeah.
We got to get you some business frames.
I know.
Put them on.
Yeah.
Cats in business.
Yeah. I wore fake glasses in high school from like Urban Outfitters, you know.
Really?
I was a real hipster. There was an article in the Albuquerque Journal when I was in high school, like a photo of me, and it was like, I was seriously thinking, and I'm like, I don't think I'm a hipster. I'm an artist.
That's great.
What's the difference
I don't
between
know.
a hipster and an
Like,
artist?
Yeah, good question. I had a
Who has
moment.
fake glasses and is seriously thinking.
Yeah, it's like whatever, you know, just do you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. There's probably some crossover. Like, I feel like, to me, in my mind, hipster is like someone who takes themselves a bit too seriously with their style.
Yeah.
And like artists can certainly do that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's would it be the inverse where you are going to not try hard at all because you're completely denying that lives in you? So you dress really like slovenly. Isn't that a thing too?
It seems like that's trying just as hard though.
I know, exactly.
But just like
Totally.
the opposite.
Exactly. It's just the opposite, but
Yeah.
you're trying just as hard to look like you're not trying hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
You remember that tiny little book that I think we had, I don't know, maybe in the early 2000s, and it was like a list of all the kinds of hipsters there were?
No.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was the, I don't know, it was like the cowboy hipster. It was the New York hipster. I don't even remember all the different
Categories?
thank you, categories. But it
Yeah.
was this book that outlined all the different kinds of hipsters there were and what they looked like and what they believed. And
wow.
Yeah, I think there's probably some combination of like both taking yourself too seriously, but then at the same time, like really trying to like fit into some kind of like, I don't know. I like, there's nothing like obviously like want to look nice.
Yeah.
And like, but it's like, I'm not going to like pretend that it somehow is going to be like my identity or something. I don't know. It's a funny thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we all secretly take ourselves really seriously.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it's true.
Of course.
Yeah. Way too seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how are you feeling post show, Kat?
Yeah, as we record, we're just a few days after the opening at Artist Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I feel really happy with the show. I feel like really proud of all the work, and
You put so much work into this show.
yeah.
You did not just make artwork for the show. You made a map. No, you made a
Scavenger hunt.
a scavenger hunt. You
Coloring
made
book page. Yeah.
bunny puppets. You made
Yeah. Window display.
a window installation. Yeah.
Yeah, and lots of firsts, like first silkscreen, first book, first mural, actually, except for like the fireplace mural. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Great turnout at the opening.
Yeah.
Great turnout at the artist talk.
Yeah.
Felt a little less nervous at the artist talk, which is great.
Yeah.
A little less nervous doing a podcast, which is great.
Yes. Kara had a great experience at the opening with the puppets.
Man. Was it a great
Really?
experience?
It's funny.
Oh.
So I was really excited about those puppets, about the bunny puppets. And I looked through all of the I got there early, even though still it was packed. I think I got there, 5:10, 5:15, already packed. I saw the bunny puppets and I looked through all of them. And I think I picked probably, in my opinion, the best bunny puppet. I was really happy about it. And as I was leaving, I was walking out the door with a friend and her 2 kids. I think it was her 2 kids. Could have been just random kids. But the girl looked at my bunny puppet. She had a bunny puppet. And she goes, I'll trade you your bunny puppet. And her bunny puppet, I have to say, was not as cool as mine. All of them were great, but mine was the best. And I thought, you stinker.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
How could you say no,
No, I'm not going to say no to you, you little stinker girl. And so I went along. I was like, let me see your bunny puppet. And she showed it to me. Clearly not as good. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll take it.
You're
And
a saint.
The little boy next to her turns to her and goes, I'll trade you my puppet for your puppet. Like now, mine. And she goes, no.
Oh.
So there was a tiny little trade war happening at the gallery over those puppets.
Oh my gosh.
I would have said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been like, no, dude.
Yeah.
She read me good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This really funny thing happened at the donkey races in Cerrillos. Martha was there, and so somebody just bought this like burro painting, and a woman was like, hey, how much did you buy that for? And the woman's like, $50. And she's like, I'll buy that from you.
Wow.
Do you know what happened?
No.
Then there was a wrestle.
That's so cool. Just haggling on the street at the burro races.
I know.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, those puppets were amazing. The treasure hunt was amazing. The turnout was amazing. I mean, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, and you also put up some oil paintings, which were my father came early to look at the painting of Jordan because he was really taken by it.
Yeah. That was lovely. Yeah. Somebody like a couple days before him came in the gallery and said that Jordan looked really sad that he had to eat pickles. So that really filled my cup to have your dad come in and have a meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, you seem to be somebody that you like to play around with different media.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've got your ceramics practice too. do you feel like that you need like these different media to sort of channel what it is that you want to put into the world? Like what does it satisfy for you to like have these different avenues?
I just don't feel limited, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I've always identified as artist, like since I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, both my parents have artistic backgrounds, like in design and painting and sculpture, and then they, had their business restoring rugs, and so they're like entrepreneurs. And since I was little, I was like, that's what I want to be. But like artists, like was just you're just an artist, like everything is your canvas. Like once you've decided that, like it's kind of infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that peace of mind of like, I know what I'm here to do is to create. But yeah, and like craft, like when I was looking for colleges, and there were like craft schools and fine art schools, it's like, why are those separate, And so in college, I took like all different kinds of classes, like green woodworking, and I like made a pitchfork and a little stool, and then like a glaze workshop, and weaving and painting and metal fabrication. Like it's just like fun,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like infinite possibilities. But it gets harder, like the access to the equipment and materials when you're not in school.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a little easier to just sort of pick up some paper and watercolor and just get going.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like there's a medium that is like your medium.
No, but I would say that I kind of struggle with how popular ceramics are, because I get a little frustrated that like the ceramics sell so well, but I really want to be like painting and doing these other things.
Well,
I
and
mean,
it's
that
also
that could be a price point.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's also the price point, but also like, your effort and energy doesn't necessarily lessen because it's cheaper, because people value it differently, right? You're still putting a ton of energy into making ceramics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, if you have like, $100 mug, it's such a different experience in terms of the buyer. The way that people value ceramics is so differently, which is, it's really interesting to me, like how these things that are functional, that we use, somehow become valued less.
Totally.
Which it's paradoxical to me, right? Because it's like, of course, like paintings have a function, but it's like you can't eat a painting, you can't feed yourself with it, unless you sell it and make money to buy food. But like, they're just, it's just interesting how this thing that is so connected to our sustenance and survival could be valued so much less.
Yeah, totally. And also like the European like canon and like, all those famous paintings and like Picasso and Matisse, and then compared to like folk art, like it's really amazing that we live in Santa Fe with the like International Folk Art Museum and Market, and people really appreciate it, and they don't think of like folk art as like, oh, it's just this little thing, but it's like really there's like a lineage of like amazing craftspeople, and it's like really top notch, and it's like on the same plane as a Matisse or Picasso. Yeah, to me, it's like this colonialist, like false hierarchy,
I'm curious also why it seems like there's maybe a preference towards the painting right now.
Yeah.
As opposed to the ceramics. And I'm curious about that.
Yeah, maybe the pushback, because of people really like, buying ceramics and but painting painting, it's like I really get to explore like my dreams and like create like a world. Whereas ceramics is more about like I really put a lot of attention and care into like how I illustrate the animals on the piece, and I feel like that's kind of like my best talent as an artist is like how I paint the like expressions and presence of an animal. So I still get to do that, but with paintings I get to like push myself more and play with light and the story, and I've been thinking a lot about like I love films, and even when I was like a kid, I was told like, oh, maybe you should go into like filmmaking, or like your pieces are really like cinematic and they have this narrative and story, and I get to like play with that a little bit more in the paintings, like try to capture like a moment of a story.
Keep talking. I'm gonna turn up.
Yeah.
Get the feed on.
Yeah. Would you? I mean, in that way, would you say? It sounds like you're saying that with the paintings, you get to, in some ways, put more of yourself into the painting. Yeah, and that it challenges you more, and and it surprises you more. Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
And so then it's like, I think in some ways that it's not always the case with paintings, but there is something. It's like with the painting for the artist, there is this discovery and this personal exploration, and I don't know, and maybe it's I'm just making crazy jumps right now, but in our society, in our culture, we do put a lot more value upon the exploration of thought and idea and the individual than something that is functional that we use every day. Yeah, totally. And I feel like it's like I need everything in my practice. You know, I need those like deep explorations. Like when I listen to music, sometimes I get like imagery in my head. Like I'm really like obsessed with momentum. Like, and I was late driving here, and I was like, yeah, I get to speed a little bit, and it feels so good. and I'll watch tires like spin really fast as I like pass the cars, and I just get like a high from it. And I was like listening to the song and just seeing like horses' hooves and like that galloping, and just like the shot of the feet and like the power of that. And so I got to like explore those like feelings in the paintings. But then I also need a break because for a while, like painting felt like too precious and too intimidating. So I needed just like just making like a form over and over and over again with the ceramics, or just like printing the same thing over and over. So I really need like a balance. Yeah. I mean, my favorite mug, which was from you.
I will make you
a
another
little kitty.
Yeah.
I mean, when that smashed, I was devastated. I was so heartbroken because I loved that mug so much. But that mug, the mug and the kitty and everything gave me comfort. I would pick it up and I would just feel so comforted by not just the image and the feel of the mug, but the drink that was in it. It's like this sense of comfort. And so I don't know, again, I'm making leaps, but I think there's something in ceramics or in, textiles and things like this that bring us a sense of comfort and familiarity. And with not all paintings, but I would say with your paintings and the paintings I really appreciate, they transport us to a different world, and they open up it's like this possibility for something new. Yeah. Which is exciting. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
I have to live with the fact that I'm the one that broke that mug.
Well, no, you the handle. But I broke it. I was still using it, even though it didn't have the handle. But I was so accustomed. I was so just habitually accustomed to picking it up by the handle that one night I picked it up by the handle, which was not there. It was just like a little nub, and then it fell onto the ground. But again, it's like this familiarity. I know what this feels like. I know, it's like I'm touching it. And yeah, it's like there's comfort in that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ones that we use the most are the ones we're more likely to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's interesting. I mean, maybe that's part of it too, is that, that you're not going to like smash a painting,
Yeah.
as easily as you will a mug.
Yeah.
And mass manufacturing has changed that too, right? Like we're more like, I mean, I'm drinking out of a mass manufactured mug right now. And, we're more comfortable. I'm more comfortable as a person who values the arts drinking out of a mass manufactured mug than I am of a painting from Target, right? So it's like, I'll buy a mug like this, but I'm not going to buy, art from a big box store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the art is on a Band-Aid.
Unless the art is on a Band-Aid, and that artist has been commissioned, and paid to put their artwork on a Band-Aid. Sure.
I love Band-Aid art.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, my friend just gave me like the waves on, who's that famous artist?
Oh, Hosukai?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it came from Target. It's really exciting.
I think we had some unicorns.
We had unicorn Band-Aids.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't stick as well, I don't think.
Oh,
I don't know.
they don't have magic. Unicorn magic.
I mean, they do. But in terms of protecting a scrape, maybe, I have to get this super, what is it? The super adhesive Band-Aids, because I just feel
Fabric
like
ones.
I use my hands so much
yeah.
that I need industrial Band-Aids.
Yeah.
I wonder, I was thinking when you were talking about, the requests for ceramics and things like that, like if part of it is like, you wanting to control your narrative or your output and, in terms of like, I get to choose what I make versus like just simply responding to demand.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, the ceramics feel more like a shop object and like just keeping the business going sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also feel like practice. Like I get to practice illustrating the animals and plants, and like becoming a better painter. But yeah.
But then there are the ceramic pieces that are sculptural,
Yeah.
which are phenomenal.
Yeah, I want to do more of those.
Yeah, which are the actual animals.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really exciting for me. And yeah, having them like come to 3D and like exploring that, like it's and like when I'm sculpting them, I really feel like, you're just like embodying the animal, and it's a different thing than painting. Like you also feel the animal, but it's in a more flat way. So I'm excited to do more sculptures. Those will be coming.
And at one point, we were talking about stuffed animals. You were exploring. I think you were exploring that, right? For a moment.
Yeah.
Did that go anywhere?
No, but it could. Yeah. I was actually so my friend who gave me the waves Band-Aids, Sarah, she's making these really cool, like big stuffed animals right now and wants to sell them at markets.
Nice.
So we were talking about that recently. And there's this other artist who had like tons of like geese stuffed animals. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. I want to make a stuffy product.
Because I've been sewing, I have a lot of scraps now.
Oh.
And I had this idea. It's like, I want to make stuffed animals out of scraps, but it feels daunting to me, actually, to start to think of working in that kind of 3D, of actually sewing so that the shape is right, and then knowing how to stuff it and all these kinds of, very a different kind of skill set.
Totally.
Than sewing clothes. I mean, I even tried to make like a little cat head, and it was beyond me.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing that stuck out for me when you were talking about, I've always felt like an artist and I've just always explored that, is the confidence that I perceive in you of like, I'm an artist and I can do this and I'm just going to do this. And I'm so curious where you feel like that came from. Like if that was because of that your parents were artists and you saw that, where, or is that just something that's like was gifted to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it was their support.
Yeah.
Like I have this really sweet memory of my dad. I was like in early high school maybe, and I was having like a really bad day, and I couldn't figure out like how to, like what to do, how to make it better, and I just like sat down and painted this scene. It was like an abstract painting. It's like reds and oranges and blacks, and I was just doing lots of brush strokes, and like at the end of it, I called it like something city, because it looked like a cityscape, and he was like watching me in the distance, and then when I finished, he like complimented me on it and asked like how much I wanted to sell it for, and then he framed it, and he said it was so inspiring to see the like how the transformative, like how art can transform your like emotion and state, and it really is that for me too. It's like a therapy, and like it's like a way to process. And I grew up in like a really aesthetically rich like environment with like lots of Native American art and pottery and rugs, and Dad was like amazing designer, and just everything was like from the ceramics my parents picked and paintings, and growing up in Los Ranchos, like surrounded by artists. And then also like my grandmother, both of my grandmother and my great-grandmother on my mom's side went to art school. And then they were stay-at-home moms, but they both like studied fashion and were great at drawing, and so I have that lineage. I don't know where the confidence came from. I mean,
that sounds like that's where it came from. You had a community. You were surrounded by people that were doing it and making a living from it. And so it was always like, yes, I can do this too. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Totally.
So cool. You said that, it feels like therapy for you, and I'm sure, a lot of artists feel similarly. A lot of the writing that you've done over the past few shows have sort of been, like in response to, environmental damage or just the current culture of our planet right now. It's interesting how, what you create so often like inspires sweetness, and like even some of the pieces from the last show, which weren't just about sweetness or didn't just convey that level of sweetness, still felt like they were about upliftment. So it seems to me that there is a transformation, from like where your feelings are at to what comes out in the work. Do you want to share a little bit about like how you see that happening, or where that comes from, or how it happens? Anything about that?
Yeah, that's really cool to hear you talk about it, because I feel like it's also really hard to see your work as an artist.
Yeah.
But I've been noticing that like I'll have a voice like where I'm like, oh no, I don't want to paint this like too scary. I don't want to make this too scary for somebody. But it ends up being like really cute at the end. So I'm like, what happened in the process? And the snarling black wolves from that painting, like people really resonated with that. And I've been like thinking about this show, like I just felt like I just wanted like flowers and like coziness and like comfort for people during this time, but I was wondering, like, people really resonated with the snarling black wolves, and like maybe people need that too, like there's this artist in Albuquerque who's really amazing, Vidalo, and she does lots of like stabbing, like someone has like a stop sign like going through their chest, and just feels like that really cathartic, like, and like listening to heavy metal, like processing, like, yeah, this is so fucked up, like the times that we're in is yeah, not right. But yeah, I guess you kind of need both, you know? You need the tea and the cozy mug and like the nice outfit that gives you a boost of confidence and coziness and flowers, and the, yeah, punk.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I didn't feel like, you know, going back to the piece with the wolves. I mean, it didn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel aggressive in the sense of like just to be aggressive, or like somehow it was, you know, scary for the sake of being scary. Like it felt really honest, you know, and it didn't feel like it was like out of balance, or like it felt very much like it was a part of the whole exhibition, even though not all the work was like that. You know, it felt like a part of the whole thing. And I don't know, I think you do that well. Like you bring things, you can bring darkness in a way that's like not just like hopeless, I guess. It's like acknowledgement of the darkness, that it's present, but it's not necessarily going to ultimately overwhelm the situation, you know, that, you know, you can bring in these other elements too.
Yeah, maybe too, like growing up, like there was, like my dad was depressed for a while, and there was like a lot of darkness and heaviness around him, but he was also like my guiding light in a lot of ways. And to see that like complexity in a person, how like grounded and rooted, and how they can be a North Star and a compass, and also have like so many demons, that like gives me a lot of empathy and a lot of like care and compassion for people who are really in the darkness, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not wanting to like blame anyone or put them in a corner, but just like, let's, you know, shed some light on this, and, you know, like bring your demons to the table, and let's see them, you know? And I'll like be witness, and don't want to like shame anybody.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's real, it's human. And like all of those experiences reflect our own experience. It's like all these responses, let's say, reflect real experiences, you know, and it's like they come from our lived reality, you know? And so, you know, it's really important to recognize and work with and shed the light on, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking with a friend recently about, we were saying about something when like truth is spoken, even if it's a hard truth. We were saying the field, or the field settles. And she said the field is hungry for truth right now. And thinking about when you said bringing your demons to the table, it's like shedding the light on the truth of what is, and that there's something actually very settling about that we don't have to pretend anymore. And so there's an exhale, even if it's a hard thing. And I was thinking about the wolf painting, and how often in animal paintings or in nature photography, there is such a focus, right, on cuteness, or not stoicism, but just like this a romanticized vision of how perfect and pure nature is. And rarely is there like the emphasis on that it can be chaotic, and it can be destructive, and it can be, like you said, intense and complex. And that's something about showing that, again, just is settling. It's actually, there's this exhale of recognizing a part of the truth that is really spoken about.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
People also love the like really cute animals that then are like crazy and fierce. Totally. You're like, look at this cute little thing, and then it's like, rah!
Yeah. Yeah. That lives in them too.
Yeah.
And they can bite your finger off.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really resonate with that too. I think like maybe as a woman, you know, like I do care about like yeah, comforting people and like, you know, being really receptive and then also being kind of like a pain in the ass and rebellious, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Like I'm cute and don't fuck with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I can get fierce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like fiercely loyal and, you know, I have integrity and and don't push me around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a possum or a badger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we started watching this very crazy anime show that Martha told us about. Side effects.
Common
side effects. And it takes place in it's about drugs. And they're testing some new drug, and you go into the lab and there are all these little bunnies in cages. And the CEO of the company he's like sticking his finger in the cage of one of this bunny. It's all like, and then it bites him. And it's kind of like that, you know? It just bites him.
Yeah.
It's like, watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they get freed?
I don't know.
Oh.
Probably not.
It's actually a really good show. So the premise is that this guy, he's a mycologist, discovers this mushroom growing in Peru that basically can cure anything. And so, like, I mean, you die and you put the mushroom in your mouth and you revive. And so he's trying to like be able to give it away and give it to humanity. And like, there's this, you know, company that's trying to like destroy it, and the government's trying to destroy it. It's both poignant and it's also very funny.
Wow.
But it's also kind of dark too.
Wow.
It's got it all.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Common side effects.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, you know, they've cured people, but they're still like unsure of what the side effects are, right? Like,
seems like maybe they're seeing some little
creatures.
some creatures.
Oh.
in their mundane waking life. Yeah. 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 That's like, there is something very, so it's like, it has like a soberness to it when we can speak those truths, but in a kind way. That's the other thing maybe with that particular painting, that even though it was intense, it is intense. There's a kindness as well. There's a reverence for what is being shown. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that.
The wings helped maybe.
The wings.
Yeah. Yeah. Whimsical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess part of that too is it's, you know, when you introduce an element like that, it automatically, for me anyway, puts me in a reflective state, like the painting's reflecting me rather than I'm like, it's sometimes like with animal works, you know, it's always reflecting you, but I think it's a little bit easier to say like, oh, that's the animal, you know, but if you put wings on it, it's like, well, that's not real. It's about me. It's like, how am I perceiving this? I don't know. Just my personal experience with it.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that art is really about the viewer and, you know, what's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a way to connect with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See those like deep crevices in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't ever realize that when they look at work.
Mm-hmm.
They really think what they're seeing and what they're taking in is what the artist meant.
Yeah, totally.
And is the message of the artist.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I worked on a gallery on Canyon Road, I would spend all day, like, there's this one artist who's like very like narrative storytelling, John Taratif. He's really interesting artist, and I would just like look at his work and then the other artist's work and just be like, I think I figured it out. This is what he meant, you know, and he's pulling from this artist and this reference, and then, and, you know, the legs in this position mean this, and they're holding a fish and that, oh my God, I got it. Mm-hmm. and then you meet the artist and it's like, they're just like, and also like making more work is, myself, I'm just like, I have no idea what I just made. It was just like, I just liked it. Mm-hmm. You know, I just put these elements together and it's something for me to uncover after I make it. And yeah. And I'm like constantly discovering new things, you know. It's a very mysterious journey. But it's fun when you're like, I think I figured it out. This artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were at the Brooklyn Print Fair, there were these prints of burros. Do you remember this? And the woman that came, that was very...
Oh.
So this woman came and she's deeply involved in rescuing and rehabilitating injured and abused donkeys. And she got these prints that had donkeys, and she was just talking to us for a very long time about how the artist was trying to highlight the abuse that donkeys experience, and this aspect of violence towards donkeys. And we're like, we don't think that's probably what's happening, you know. Donkeys are really important in his culture, blah blah blah. And she's like, no, this is about the violence. Wow. It's just like, really, she was so focused on her experience and what she knew, and seeing this in the artwork.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was intense.
Super intense.
Yeah.
Because like no matter what we would say, she was insistent on like that this is what the piece was about. It's like, okay, eventually, and she eventually bought it too.
Yeah, she did.
Oh wow.
Even though it caused her great distress, she was in a lot of distress. Yeah.
Wow. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when you were talking about like, you know, that process of not knowing what you're making, it's funny because I feel very similarly in a lot of ways about the process of creating this space. You know, a lot of it is really going off of intuition. Because, you know, it's funny, when I was doing art in school and wanting to be a studio artist, you know, there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself to kind of feel like I understood what I was doing before I did it. And the school that I went to also helped or hurt, however you look at it. They also pushed that narrative of trying, you know, making sure you understand what it is that you're trying to communicate. And there's certainly value in that, but I think I took it really far. And for me, like, I think there's an idea that like with a business that you have to have a real clear idea, like even more than making artwork. And because I didn't get that kind of I didn't get a business education. I didn't have that particular baggage associated with business. I came at this with a more sort of like artistic point of view and was like, this feels right. This is how I want to do it, you know? And over time, this business, this gallery has shown me how I see the world more. It's like, it's shown me how I perceive creativity and art, you know, and that surprised me too. Like, and in a way, like I didn't even see that coming, you know? And I love that, you know, I think that process can be applied to anything, you know, like, you know, so many people talk about creativity as this thing that's sort of neutral, that it's not just about making art. It's not just about this or that, but it can be applied to anything, you know?
Yeah.
And you also, I mean, I hear that you got a lot of life experience to teach you about business as well. I I mean, I'm thinking of the magazine
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking of your work, working for other people in different galleries and, just observing and picking up all the, like, I resonate with that. I don't resonate with that. I want to run my business like this. I don't want to run it like this. That's almost more invaluable, right, than getting a degree in something.
Sure.
It's just like that trial by error and jumping in and figuring it
Trial
out.
by error. I like that. You mean trial and error. But I like
Trial by fire?
I like you mixed
I
up
do
trial
that.
and error with trial by fire.
Trial by fire
Love
and
it.
error.
I like trial by error.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that phrase, fail harder?
Fail harder, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's I don't know. I wonder, like, sometimes, like, if this has worked really well because in a way it's been unexpected. Like, working for other galleries in the past is always like, oh, that's my side gig, and I wasn't expecting this at all. And then when it's like showed itself, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this.
Wow. So you saw the spot on Canyon Road, like, for rent, or?
Sort of. So after F&C, after Form and Concept, I realized before that chapter ended that I was ready to start a thing myself. That I was like, oh, like I was wanting to, like, do some things and wasn't able to do it. And so it was at that time when I realized, oh, I'm, like, investing a lot of my creative energy into this. And I think this is actually a viable thing. And so after that chapter ended, I realized that, oh, okay, I'm going to start my own gallery. And it took about 6 months to find that space. It wasn't a long time. But the surprise came when I recognized how much of myself I was putting into gallery world, and and then seeing, like, oh, this is a real avenue for my creativity. That was what was surprising to me. It took me a while to realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's on your business cards? Like,
creative conductor.
Creative conductor.
Yeah.
And then Martha is a...
Oh, right. Martha
There's
is...
like conspirator and...
Nika's creative conspirator and Martha is creative conduit.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it feels more accurate, and I don't know, like, I don't feel like an owner. Like, what do I own here? It's like, it feels more like a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also just, like, it's a conversation starter too. Like, people look at it and they're delightfully surprised. They're like, oh, what does that mean? Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the residency in Oaxaca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on what that experience was like and the work that came out of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Oaxaca. I'd been before, but it was like years ago, like with Jordan, like in my early 20s, and it was like very brief. So it was nice to, like, sink in and be with, like, 12 other artists in this like a bed and breakfast with beautiful, like, garden, and to get to paint in the garden in the afternoon and, like, explore the city in the morning. It was like a perfect kind of balance, like, and when you're, like, traveling and you're just seeing so much, like, newness and freshness, and then you get to, like, process that through your art in the afternoon. It's really cool. And then meeting, like, so many Echo artists, that was, like, great. Like, you're so beloved there. Everybody's like, Frank, yes.
Was it open-ended? Like, did they have, like, any kind of guidelines or anything about it?
No, it was open-ended. Yeah. They were like, you don't even have to, like, you could just soak in the city, basically. It's totally up to you. Like, we had presentations in the beginning of our work, like, for all the other artists, and then, like, anybody who was visiting the bed and breakfast could come and see the presentations. And then at the end, we had like a final kind of celebration and like studio tour visit. So we got to see what everybody made. But yeah, it was like perfect opportunity to work on the book because I had already talked to Alfonso and Morel about making a book. And yeah, and it was a way, like art is also a way for me to, I love like studying and painting things in like real life and like getting to like see it better and see it more clearly.
Like objects in still life kind of things, you mean?
Yeah, really anything. It could be a mask or like the jaguar feet or yeah, it's like then my presence is heightened as I go around the world. And lately as I've been taking more like photo references for the paintings, I'm just like more engaged with the world. You know, I see something, I'm like that would be great in a painting, or I'm like really I just love this. Like I've liked Instagram since it like started because it's a way to like you take a snapshot of something you like and you put it on there, and then you have this like organization of like all these things that you're drawn to in the world. And so it's kind of like that too. Like there's like this parade and there's this little girl, and I took a picture of her and then I turned her into a print, and yeah.
The series, it feels kind of like photographic in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to me, it really resonates with the title of the show, Memento Vivere, Remember to Live. Like all of these little moments, even though some of them are, you know, more like still lifes, especially the ones with people in them, like they feel like these snapshots, these moments of life that you've kind of selected as these very precious moments, you know. You know, what's his name? Was it Bresson that talked about the decisive moment in photography? You know, that photography is about that. And when you were talking about it, you know, seeing, you know, being engaged with the world, I think when I was making photographs that I definitely felt that way, you know, that I was, you know, looking at the world in a way that was like, I don't know, just very, very watchful for like the forms and the relationships of objects and people together, and what that said and how that communicated and how I responded to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the book and the pieces in the book really feel very reflective of that title and have that kind of almost photographic feel to them.
Yeah. 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 Art is really about like, it just like makes you live better, you know? It makes you discover yourself and the world, and it makes me think too of like how other artists work, like make you see the world differently. Like John Tartuffe again, like he paints these like trees, and like I'll see a tree like that in the world, and I'm like, that feels like a painting of his. Or like Carson's artist talk is so cool to hear him talk about like his long drives and just how like peaceful and how he just like loves driving out in the landscape. And oftentimes when I'm like driving and I see like all these roads and fences and buildings, and it makes me like sad, like our impact on the land, and that is really valid. But like after experiencing like Carson's show, is like, oh, this is so beautiful too. It's like I found a certain like peace that I didn't have before. Yeah.
A different perspective, a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I was thinking about how also when I was doing photography more, my eye was different. How I saw the world was very different, and how I engaged and looked at things. And it's like we're in this constant training of see how we see things, how we take things in, and the kind of narratives that we make of those. And I'm thinking of what you said early on about listening to heavy metal and driving fast to get here on time, but then you were watching the tire and it kind of reminded you of hooves, you know, of horses and hooves. And it's like, this is a whole kind of way you are training your awareness to see. Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah, I guess art in a way, whether it's, you know, through painting or through making a business, it's like it's making, from in my experience, making conscious how I see the world. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's very easy to just not think about it and take it for granted, you know, just to sort of go through the world, and how I see the world is how I see the world. Mm-hmm. But like, how did I get to that point? Because my viewpoint is unique, and all of ours is. Like, how did we get to the point where we see the world the way that we do? You know, and art making has been my way, I guess, of making that known to myself, you know, over time. I think it'll be a lifelong journey, but like gradually saying like, oh, okay, this is how I see the world. Like having it be something that is understandable and graspable, at least maybe just for a moment. And then it changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art really like shakes things up. Like I think about also what like Doriel Camille is doing, and like painting women figures, and like the, you know, growing up in the 90s with a super thin, like idealized woman that is like impossible. And then in, you know, art, you're like, this body is gorgeous and this is gorgeous too. And like every person is really stunning, and it like really enhances your, like, to be in that practice. You see everything as like you become more curious.
Well, I think that recognition that your viewpoint is unique, it's not too hard to make the leap to everybody else's viewpoint is unique.
Yeah.
And that nobody else sees through your eyes nor anybody else's eyes. And like, that's pretty phenomenal when you just stop for a second and think about that, you know, that Luis Garcia had a print in the show in March, and it was one of the parables that his mom wrote, but it was like todos las cabezas están un mundo or something like that. I probably got the grammar wrong, but it's like every head is a world, every head is a universe, kind of thing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then on top of that, to think, right, that each head is constantly changing. It's not the same head, you know? And so it is a totally new world as well.
Yeah.
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 So, do you have any break time right now? We just finished the show. What's happening now? What's happening next?
Break time. Love that question. No.
No.
I don't know if I'm a workaholic. I'm not. I sleep in, and I'm very lucky to have this schedule right now, because of mostly like painting sales from last year. But yeah, to like work part-time every other week at the rug shop, and then just the rest of my days I manage them so I can like sleep in and have a leisurely morning, and then like work in the studio, doing whatever is required of me. And usually I'll work until like 7, but I enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
Because work is like play too.
Yeah. What are you working on right now?
Well, just printing cards for an order for Plum in Brooklyn, and then packaging archival prints. And then I'm going to work on a commission for a friend, painting the birds in his backyard in blue. And then, a couple pieces for the Visions West group show in Bozeman. And then illustrating a crock for my friends as a trade. They made this incredible jacket, and they really liked the pica painting from last year. So I'm gonna paint something inspired by that. on their crock.
Cool.
Yeah. And then more ceramics.
More ceramics, and then we'll
Little break.
another
That's my
show
break,
in
is ceramics.
your break is ceramics. Yeah. And then another show in May next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows
which
what that'll be?
Start on right now. Really.
Oh God, no break.
Yeah. When I was doing the oil paintings for this show, and it was like a month before the show opening, and then I was like getting supplies at Artisan, and the lady was like, "Yeah, it takes like 6 months for oils to like cure." And I'm like, "What?" Oh man.
Yeah.
So I should start those oil paintings right now for the show next May.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much, Kat. This was super fun.
Oh,
and
thanks, Frank.
Can't wait to see
Thanks,
what you make
Kara.
next.
Thanks, Kat.
Love you guys.
Love you. Yay.